All right, squad, what is up? The Ryan and Jacob Show is back for another episode. We're gonna try something new today. The Week 3 look ahead. We're trying to kind of cut down the time of most of these videos and maybe start putting out a few more. So definitely let us know if you like that idea, if you hate that idea, if you want us to post less, never post, or like go jump off a bridge or something. Just keep us in the loop of what you guys think. We want to keep this fun. So that's what we're trying to do. So before we get into the Week 3 look ahead, I did want to quickly touch on the mini game here. As you can see right off the gate in the top right corner, I did go 5 for 5 in Week 1. I'm the best. I don't know what else to say. But we got 4 people tied for first place right now. Me, Jacob, Jimmy, and James, all with 8 points. And then another notable thing was that we had 3 people, Jimmy, Chewy, and James, all go 5 for 5 in Week 2. So those Week 2 matchups were way too weighted. But how do you feel tied for first place with the 8 points?
Yeah, it feels great. I was just trying to look. I think there's 2 or 3 people with sixes, so I think the 6 is the lowest score. And if you go down to Chewy's score, he went 1 for 5 week 1, and then 5 for 5 week 2. So his 6 is very hard earned to get that last place because he was looking very bad that first week. But yeah, nobody's gonna really pull ahead till probably about week 6, 7-ish. You'll
Yeah.
probably see a really big discrepancies with like first place and last place. Maybe even starting week 3, depending on how the week goes. But everyone's done pretty well. I don't know. I forgot. Do you still have the Excel spreadsheet from last year's? I'd be curious to see like the similarities when the year is done is who had the highest. I know you won the mini game last year. I don't know how many points you had though.
I don't remember what the final outcome was, but I think I do have it saved somewhere. So
Yeah,
maybe
we'll
take a
find
look at
that
that at the
later.
end of the season.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into the Week 3 look ahead. And we will start right here with my matchup versus Dom. Dom's been on an absolute heater this year, put up 2 incredible scores back to back. Now, I did put up the highest score of the year last week, but Dom was only 2 points behind me. So this should be a good matchup. I'm nervous, but I'm hoping we're going to have a shootout game here, and we're both going to put on a show for the league.
Yeah, just looking at this team, one of the things I really hate is having a wide receiver and the other guy having a quarterback. And it seems, and you have that thing going on with Calvin Ridley, and then he has Matt Ryan at QB. I really hate that when I have a wide receiver because you're just not getting as many points. Because every time Calvin Ridley scores or should score, Matt Ryan gets 4 points, and only Calvin gets like 6.5 with the catch, and depending on yardage. But I just really hate that because you're not getting as many points as you should be getting. Do you feel the same way about that?
Oh yeah, you definitely hate that. But luckily the wide receiver gets more points. And another thing to note here is that the Falcons are also playing my Bears. So I'm going to be rooting against them to be scoring. So hopefully the only Falcon that finds the end zone this weekend is Calvin Ridley. And if you'll notice, I also took out the Falcons' future best tight end in the league. But just for this week, I took out the Falcons' tight end Hayden Hurst and replaced him with Logan Thomas. Because I just don't want more people, 1, playing against the Bears, and 2, getting thrown to by Matt Ryan. I don't want to be rooting for it.
Yeah, that's an interesting call to see if it pays off. But I think the key to this matchup are the running backs. Zeke and Chris Carson have been probably the best duo running back, probably with the exception of Nick Chubb and Aaron Jones on James's team. But Zeke and Chris Carson's done their thing. Miles Sanders came back really looking good last week. Eckler up and down a little bit. Hopefully he gets more touches for you. But I think that's the key right there. And it's interesting that you're going back to the Philadelphia Eagles defense when they got you -1. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, yeah. I'm going to roll the dice on these guys one more time because they're playing the Bengals. The Bengals gave up quite a many sacks or have given up quite a many sacks this year, and the Eagles defense has gotten quite a few sacks this year. So I'm hoping that they can get their points up with that. This is probably the last week I'm going to play them, but I had to roll them out one more time because options are thin. All
Yeah,
right,
defenses are
so
hard to find.
yeah, they definitely are. So let's get
All right.
into you and James. What do you think about this? Or Jimmy?
Yeah, so projections over 110. He's got 110.8. I got 114.2. I think this is going to be a big scoring matchup. I like the matchup with Kamara, Green Bay, and Saints. Hopefully that's a shootout. Kamara's been just excellent this week or this year so far. But when I look at this, it's really about the wide receivers. What's DJ Moore going to do without CMC? Tyreek Hill, how's he going to do against Baltimore's stingy defense? And then just with my receivers, are they going to live up to the hype they should be living up to? Because the last 2 weeks they have not been. So that's going to be the real key, I think, in this game. And I hope I pull it out.
Yeah, I know Jimmy's gonna be looking for Derrick Henry to bounce back this week and DJ Moore to do something for the first time this season. But yeah, like you said, with CMC out, who knows how that's gonna go? And then you got Mike Davis back there now too. So, and he's probably gonna be taking some of the targets out of the backfield as well. It'll be interesting to see. And then another big story here: you benched your quarterback. I know you mentioned it last night, but rolling with Big Ben off the bench, and you've also took Ty out.
Yeah, so Kareem Hunt made me do it. I mean, 21 last week, and I think he had double digits week 1, so he's begging to be played, and Ty has been begging to sit the bench and even dropped. So we'll see. Hopefully Kareem Hunt does well. But yeah, Tom Brady, I mean, he didn't look bad last week. I watched the Bucs game in its entirety or most of the game. He didn't look bad. He had a lot of the running backs just got the touchdowns, which won't happen every week, but will happen some weeks. But really, the Big Ben, Houston is not having a good year. We kind of talked about yesterday how the offense has not lived up to par so far. And we talked about that when we were talking about Lubasi's team, but the defense hasn't been that great either. So I think Big Ben has a field day. I think this was an easy switch. Week 4, I'm not sure for the matchups, but I feel like week 4 is going to probably be a tougher pick between Big Ben and Tom, but hopefully Big Ben goes nuts.
Yeah, that should be a good game between you and Jimmy. And so we'll move into another one here. Johnny Peppers and Chewy, the Michiana Moose Knuckles.
So yeah, I think Chewy's one of our 2-0 teams. Yep, Chewy's one of our 2-0 teams. So Johnny's gonna look to put an L in that loss column for the first time. I think with Johnny, I think the biggest thing, I mean, Kyler Murray's playing Detroit, which is pretty weak on the defensive end and hasn't really played that well. But you got Godwin coming back, who sat out last week, so that's another weapon for Tom Brady, and just a big wide receiver number 1 for Johnny. So it's going to be interesting to see how Godwin does. But I think I don't know too much. DK is going to be probably high. I think the receivers, again, are going to be more important just because Julio and Juju versus Godwin and Metcalf. I think whoever wins that matchup, I think kind of wins the game here. I don't know if you think any different.
Well, it'll be interesting to see, first of all, if Julio's going to play. I mean, questionable. That'd be pretty good for my Bears now if he doesn't play, but it would be bad for Calvin Ridley. So I don't know how I feel about Julio playing, but if he does play, him and Godwin should have comparable scores. I mean, Godwin coming off concussion too. It'll be interesting to see how he comes back out there and plays. Well, I am interested to see Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Week 1, killer. Week 2, not so much. So
Yep.
What's he going to do this week? This will kind of be the telltale sign of, was week 1 a fluke or was week 2? So I am interested to see that. I think he's a great player, so he could go off. Josh Allen's just been an absolute stud this year. I think Chewy takes this one, but I'm rooting for Johnny. I want Johnny to take him down.
Yeah, and you got Josh Allen and Kyler. I think those are the 1 and 2 quarterbacks so far this year, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, yeah, that's going to be a great – this is a great matchup. This is going to be a pretty good game just to keep an eye on. Cleveland's defense versus the Redskins. Redskins have been playing pretty well this year, so it's going to be interesting to see if Cleveland's D does. Like we said earlier in the podcast, that defenses are pretty scarce. So it'll be interesting to see if the Cleveland goes -5. I can see them going -5 or getting like 8 points. So it'll be interesting for that one too.
Yeah, and hopefully Josh Jacobs will play too. I see we've got a few injury questions kind of all over this matchup, but I think it'll still be a good one. All right, so James and Rudy, an 0-2 versus a 1-1. So James, looking for his first win, starting Justin Herbert. Dice roll? What do you think?
Wow, Justin Herbert. And then you got on the other side, Rudy starting Minshew.
Man, that's going to
Wow,
be a tight battle.
So Stafford and Breeze are benched in their respective teams. Wow, this is crazy. And Rudy hasn't filled out his lineup. He actually did that last week with me too, his tight end. I think he's waiting on the Kittle decision. But yeah, Herbert's a rookie, but two sophomore and rookie matchups. I think I like James's decision more than Rudy's decision. I think Herbert looks good, but Breeze did not look good at all last week. But Matthew Stafford did his thing last week. So that's an interesting flop for both these teams.
Could be a matchup play for Gardner. He is playing the Dolphins. I know they don't have like a notable defense. I mean, they haven't been getting like shat on this year, but it's nothing crazy. And Gardner has honestly been going pretty nuts. First 2 weeks, he's been like a top 10, maybe top 5 quarterback. I'm not 100% sure, but I mean, he's been out there throwing some dimes. So Minshew Mania might rally a storm for Rudy here to send James to 0-3.
Yeah, and then you got, I mean, I don't know. I just don't like the two Ravens running backs as his RB1 and RB2. He doesn't have too much in the bench. He has AP to maybe put in there, but he's not even that great of a running back getting that many touches. So I just don't like the look of like the Baltimore running backs as your number 1 and 2. So I feel like I'm going to go with James on this game. I think with Chubb and Aaron Jones, even with his weak wide receiver core, I think Chubb Jones kind of just puts him over the top against Rudy.
Do you think James gets his first win this week?
I think James gets his first win this week. I'm stamp it right now. I'm going with James.
Oh man, that's a bold call.
And then we're gonna go to Chris and Lubasi, an 0-2 team. Okay, so we're gonna get somebody's first win here.
Getting their first dub, baby.
We got Lubasi versus Chris Mihal. So far, Lubasi is projected 108 and Chris is 104, so they're projecting Lubasi to win. And he's going with Watson and Fuller against a very, very stingy Pittsburgh Steelers defense. I think I read that Steelers blitz like 66% of the time, so Watson is going to have to get rid of that ball really quick. I think it's going to be a better game, at least for receiving, for David Johnson, just because you're going to have to get the ball out quick. And Fuller's more of like a downfield wide receiver. So it's going to be interesting to see, one, if he stays on the field, and two, if he can get those short little routes for Watson to do something with. But, I mean, Joe Mixon versus Philly, you kind of talked about that. You're rolling with the Eagles defense. How you liking Chris's team?
Well, I just got done playing Chris and took a big dookie on his chest. But no, I think Chris had a really good team. He's been riddled by injury. Raheem Mostert and obviously Saquon both done for him. So rolling out James Robinson and Mike Davis. I think Mike Davis honestly could have a really good week. We kind of talked about that a little bit earlier. And James Robinson looked awesome last week too. And again, about the Miami defense, not that great. So this running back duo could pay off for him. I don't know if it's going to be quite as flashy as a Saquon and a Raheem, but I think he could get some pretty decent production here. Myles Gaskin, I think he may have got him off waivers. I think he's going to be probably getting the bulk of the carries back there for Miami. And then obviously Lamar. I think this game could be closer than you think.
Yeah, I think I'd actually roll with Chris. I'll probably do a little bit more research than stamping this one. But I just don't like Lubasi's matchups this week. I mean, Taylor has a good matchup against the Jets. Hopkins has a good matchup against the Lions, but I just really don't like that Watson-Fuller matchup. And even Mark Andrews, he had one catch last week, one catch for like 12 yards. He did not do, and I think he was like a 4th or 3rd round pick. So he's going to want to bounce back. But again, he has that Mark Andrews and then Lamar Jackson's thrown to him. So he's got that really bad wide receiver / tight end to quarterback ratio that we had with you talked about earlier. So I think Chris has an upper hand here. I know he's not projected to have it, but I think right now I'm leaning Chris.
Yeah, and one thing that Lubasi will have to worry about, like the quarterback he's playing, instead of throwing to Mark Andrews, could just run it. Like instead of throwing it all, he can just run. Matt Ryan, he can't run. Where's he going to run? down to the
Exactly.
ground. But yeah, I think this is actually going to be a really close game. It should be a dogfight to whoever's going to get their first win this season. It's probably going to be well earned. I am excited for this one, the toilet bowl. So
The
let's get
preseason
into
toilet bowl.
yeah, right. All right, let's move to the last one. We got Matt versus Joey. Matt's looking to bounce back after a tough week 2 loss. Joey 2-0, looking to keep it up. What do you think here?
So yeah, Matt's only projected 93. Joey's projected 109. I mean, just looking at Matt's running back core, it's not flashy names. Josh Kelly's backing up Eckler, and then Darrell Henderson, who's got, I don't know if the 2 running backs are out for the Rams. I don't know if he's actually starting, but if he's starting, he's going to get most of the carries. So not flashy names, but people that could actually do something like sneakily. And then you got Keenan Allen. There's not much to say. Matt's gotten a lot of injuries. I don't know if Michael Thomas actually plays this week. I think he sits out for at least another week or two.
Yeah.
Devontae Adams, I think he sits out. He's got both of them on the bench. So he is missing a lot of his big hitters. Philip Lindsay, you can see doubtful already. He got hurt week 1. I feel for Matt because it's just so many injuries for his team so far, and I just hate to see that. But I think Joey's got an easy matchup here.
Yeah. And like you said, I feel bad for Matt too. The injury bug, like we said last night, has just been going around and hitting a lot of people and hitting them hard. Matt's been on the brutal end of receiving that. But yeah, I agree. I think Joey has just too much powerhouse people on this team for Matt to compete with. This would be a pretty big upset, I feel like, if Matt wins. Not saying it couldn't happen, but Joey's been looking pretty good this year, as seen by his 2-0 record. Russell Wilson probably about to have another big week. I don't know, man. This is a tough matchup for Matt.
Yeah, what do you think about the Saints defense against the Packers? Packers offense has been hot. Saints they do have a great defense. They held
do.
Tom Brady in check, but the Raiders did pretty well against that defense. So what do you think about that play? I know we said defenses are scarce, but I don't know about that play.
Yeah, Saints. I mean, it's kind of one of those. It's a tough call. It's like you have probably one of the best defenses versus probably one of the best offenses, at least right now. Those are always just a tough play, but I mean, options wise, he doesn't have one on his bench, and I know very personally that the waiver wire is completely depleted. So it's kind of one of those things where that's unfortunately just the best option you got at the time.
Yeah, I mean, looking at Joey's defense, Minnesota has not been playing well versus Tennessee, and Tennessee put up 33 against the Dolphins, which isn't that great of a defense. But I think these defenses, it'll be interesting to see this little matchup against pretty good defenses versus pretty good offenses. So that's probably not going to be the tail sign of this game, but it's just going to be like a fun little thing to look at for this game that I'll be watching out for.
Yeah, both of Joey's defenses are playing great offenses, so he's got a tough choice in that spot too. But yeah, I like we said, this matchup is going to be tough for Matt. But I mean, I think the league hopes that Matt can win and take down another 2-0. We need to take down all the 2-0s this week.
Hey, I got a question for you, Rod. Do you think we'll ever see Gronk in the lineup for Joey this year?
No, not a chance.
Let's say TJ Hockenson stays healthy, well, he's got a bye too, but do you think he starts Gronk over TJ Hockenson at all during this year?
I think Gronk's a bum. So no, I don't think Gronk has a performance that makes Joey say, I need to have him in my starting lineup immediately. I don't see that performance ever coming.
I would agree because week 2, he did not get targeted at all. So Joey is hanging on to him for some reason. He got 2 catches, 11 yards in week 1.
You know who does have a touchdown this year for the Bucs? OJ freaking Howard.
It'll be interesting to see when he drops him, because I think Joey is going to drop him soon if he puts up another dud like he did the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. Well, I think that kind of does it for week 3. a lot of good matchups this week that I'm excited to see. I hope to see every 2-0 team go down, especially Dom. But this one's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be very fun. I can't wait. This starts this Thursday or tonight, Dolphins versus the Jacksonville Jags. Not the best matchup for Thursday night, but it's football. We can't really complain. Chris has, I think, 3 people playing, so really big day for the toilet bowl to see if Chris can get ahead of Lubasi. I don't think Lubasi has anybody today, so three against 0. Lubasi's going to have a pretty known fact if he's going to win or not today by the end of the day, but you never really know in fantasy football. So it'll be interesting to see. I think that's the biggest matchup for today's game. This game right here, I'll be probably looking at the fantasy app with this game during the game. So yeah, I think that does it for this look ahead. I think I had fun doing this. I think we're going to continue doing this for maybe a couple weeks, see how you guys react to it and see if you guys like it. But it's fun. I think it's more fun to talk about what's going to happen, kind of more shit talking kind of goes into it.
Yeah, and along those lines, please, if you have some rebuttal to what we say, comment if you think we are completely full of shit, as we are 90% of the time. Please let us know about it.
Yeah, so you can comment on YouTube. We can comment on the Facebook post that I'm gonna do. But yeah, I think this is a good idea. I think we're gonna continue doing this, keeping the videos a little shorter, and just kind of doing maybe 2 or 3 times a week. We'll kind of figure that out as it goes. But I think that does it, and I think we are ready to play some football.
Let's play some football. Get us some feedback. Pure Leaf, sponsor us one day. I don't know. Could be good. See you guys.
Peace.